The strategy is for us to sit down with the headers and those who intend to go in, explain the modalities. All of them are willing to take part. But we will look for the funds to begin the process. And in anticipation, we have even spoken to the Food and Agriculture Organization. They are willing to give us some help. We're going to ask for help from elsewhere, wherever you can get it, and develop this. So once it takes off, you'll find that many of the big timers who may find it easier to work in this colony than set up their own ranches, they'll come along and do it.
To mention the word colony, it has a political connotation. It's not an economic term. A ranch, yes, is economic. But a colony is a political entity, which somebody says wants to create in the territory of another. That is a provocation. That is a terrible thing for anybody to say, to contemplate, to think about. I'm sure it was a mistake. I hope Audu Ogbe, who is a friend of mine, will withdraw that obnoxious term.
Colony.
According to the former SGF there, Olufalaye, who is a victim of incessant herdsmen attacks too, he says it is a political connotation. It has a political connotation.
Well, the word colony, even for those who don't know what it is very common when you hear about the British colonizing Nigeria. So that's to start with. That's what. But however, let's get into the discussion now. The face-off, let me put it that way, or the mix-up between farmers and herdsmen has been on. 16 states now have volunteered to provide land for the federal government's cattle colonies initiative. That's the latest development so far.
Yes, indeed. Now, all these states are in the north. No southern state has keyed into this idea. As a matter of fact, on the headlines this morning, it was clearly laid out. Southern states say no to colonies. Many individuals and groups are speaking against the establishment of cattle colonies. But Agriculture Minister Audu Ogbe says cattle colonies will stop the attacks. He has also dismissed fears that the initiative will allow for takeover of communal lands by herdsmen. Okay, joining us now is a social commentator, Reverend Dakwa Daramola. Good morning, and it's good to see you.
My pleasure.
Nice to see you.
Okay, so let's not even bother about the issue of colony or no colony. Will these cattle colonies solve the problem of cattle herdsmen attacks? According to Audu Ogbe, it will end it decisively.
It should, ordinarily, because what we are talking about, whether you call it colonies or you call it ranches, colonies are working in some other places, like Pakistan, some part of India. It's working. You call it ranches, Mexico, Costa Rica, you know, even the US, Canada, Australia, France, ranches are working perfectly. So it depends on what we're talking about is just to ensure that you don't have animals straying, you know, into people's, you know, farmlands and, you know, investments generally. I think that's the issue. And so whether it's colonies, or for me, I think it has a capacity on a long term, on a mid-term and long-term basis to settle this issue once and for all.
For a country like Nigeria, when you use the word colony, aren't you being almost insensitive to the prevailing circumstances right now in such a way that it doesn't send the wrong signals? Because that seems to be what is happening right now. I think
the major problem we have as a country is what we call trust deficit. No, we don't trust each other. It doesn't matter on whatever subject. I mean, it doesn't matter the intentions of the government to create, you know, infrastructures in the South-South or the Southeast. They will tell you it's because it's looking for their votes. They're not going to look at the common good, the purpose it seeks to serve. The first thing is political interest. So there's a trust deficit, which trying to build that will take a long time. But I believe that if for once we all come together, I mean, let us remind ourselves, when the Niger Delta crisis, you know, erupted, we had to find a lasting solution. And at some point, it was bombing, Baramatu, this, that. And we said, no, negotiate with these guys. Create an atmosphere for them to surrender their weapons and then grant them amnesty. Amnesty in the real sense is not, a moral solution. Because these guys, they've committed economic sabotage. They've, in the process, killed people. I mean, there was a time OPC was proscribed. There was a time President Obasanjo said, shoot them, whether on site or outside, shoot them in this same country. But the same Gani Adams today is a celebrated figure and even became the Yoruba Generalissimo. Yeah. So you can look at the history of all of this, whether militias, whether, you can argue it left and right. But the bottom line is for us to sit down and look for a common front. How do we move on? The issue is that you are saying your cow is strained onto my farm. Now, the Emma, Sanusi came out, gave evidence. Nobody has been able to, say anything contrary in the real sense. Even as journalists, we have not investigated properly. When he said over 800 Fulani herdsmen were killed. But we know.
But the Taraba Commissioner for Information said nothing like that exists
He
anymore.
cannot. It's like, we were all here when Misal said, the senator said, oh, this is the amount that goes into the coffers. You have to present, I was there sometimes and I said, some of these things must be backed up with evidence. Sanusi has produced his own evidence. He said he gave pictures, he gave this. The presidency have not come out to say that we didn't receive any of such information. That's the difference. When Otom said his own, Vice President came out to deny. I didn't tell me anything. He also has not responded to that. So we must investigate these things or these issues properly, so that we are on a very meaningful course.
Yeah. Now, Reverend, let's put this thing in perspective so that we can help shaping the mind of people who are watching. Now, cattle is one aspect of livestock farming, which is part of agriculture.
That's right.
And that is just one aspect. There are so many people or so many Nigerians involved in fishery. There are so many people involved in poultry. There are so many others involved in piggery and other things. Now, government being the one championing the issue of cattle colonies for a certain livestock farmers, and there is no program
for others,
for fisheries or for poultry farmers and all of that. Nigerians are not comfortable with that. Because it doesn't seem like a balanced agenda for agriculture somewhere. You heard Olufalai said there's a political connotation to all of this.
I mean, if you ask me, people in the agri industry, they are accessing different funds and interventions, government interventions and government support. Let's establish that. That is a fact. The way government has intervened in power, you can argue the case and say you bought this, whether it is a distribution or a power generation, whether it is a distribution or a power generation company, you bought them, you bought the assets, you bought the liabilities, but government has intervened. Trillions of naira has gone into that sector via CBN through government intervention. So if government is saying, whether we like it or not, cattle, whatever, is one of the things we consume most. Beef is one of the things Nigerians eat. It's $1 billion environment. Government has given money to support Nollywood, right? A producer is producing his film, he will make his money, he will pay his tax, but government has supported. So you can argue it across board that government has intervened on different phases of our economy.
Yeah, but the real challenge is for the average Nigerian to objectively look at this and
that's what we are saying.
Like they say, society evolves, right? Society is dynamic.
Absolutely.
When issues arise, you look for peculiar ways of solving those problems.
And this is one of
they affect
and that is what government is trying to do. That, you see, whether I like it or not, I'll give an example. There's an argument. Insurgents all over the world, you just hear that suddenly they are not making the kind of noise, bombings, killings, kidnappings, because they are settled. In Pakistan, in Iran, Iraq, in India, you can go across, they are settled. Afghanistan, they pay them. Here also, people have argued that in the Niger Delta, the reason why we are not hearing so much noise now is because whatever program, amnesty program, now you can define the nature of the amnesty. But whatever program was going on that this government wanted to stop, they've been
able to.
So if the way the government needs to go is to take the leadership to settle this issue once and for all. And the way to go is to intervene in the way they have intervened in other, facets of our social economic life. I don't see an issue.
But when the DSS comes out and says we have intelligence, we have information showing that ISIS West Africa may be involved in all of this.
It's not impossible.
In all of this. So how do you now sift it in such a way that you're not helping enemies of society?
That's a beautiful language. Remember when the Syria crisis started? That was what America said, that they want to be sure because they made mistakes in the past, including Libya. And so they don't want to repeat that mistake. Let's see what's going on in Syria. Let's know the party which we need to support because they've done it before in Afghanistan and other places. Now that is the case here too. Now you hear the president saying we cannot rush into this problem. Between you and I, when the IGP said it has some element of communal clash, it does. And I will explain. Some time ago in 2010, there was this issue between the Beron people and this same Hausa Fulanis. Don't forget, they are married. If you ask a typical Benue person, they will tell you in some areas, the border areas, the Fulanis are married to their people.
Yeah.
They are intermarried. So sometimes it has a communal clash connotation where some people strike the headsmen or they steal their cattle, they want to protect themselves. But again, it has a nomadic dimension. That, a porous border where all manner of people, don't forget the Fulanis, you have them in Cameroon, you have them in Chad, in Niger, they stray in, and then they stray into our country, not unchecked. So you have to be able to distill the issues properly. And I think that's what the government is trying to do. If, for me, this committee set up by the president, yes, it's unfortunate what has happened, but let's allow them. If for the first time in the history of this country, somebody is saying, let's take this issue holistically, let's bring them on board, let's distill and crystallize, and then settle it once and for all. If it will help us, I believe we should just, be patient and allow this process. Let's see it through first. Let's see where it will land. If it then fails, then another thing will follow. But for now, you are very correct that, of course, you don't forget, we are fighting Boko Haram. Who tells you that because at some point, when they decimated Boko Haram, they began to use kidnap method to raise money because they were now tracing how monies were coming in to fund terror. And there was a global partnership, in these regards. And so what they then did was, instead of, they couldn't receive cash anymore, what they then did, started kidnapping. So, I'll give an example. One of my bishops was kidnapped about 2-3 years ago, in that part of, Kogi. He's the bishop of one of our, dioceses within Kogi, Kwara, Ekiti axis. And when he was kidnapped, the man told us, young Fulani boys. So you can't be too sure that, Boko Haram has not infiltrated this crisis. It's like when you hear a regular riot on the street of Lagos. Okay, some people are protesting, fuel scarcity. Next thing, you find these other boys, they come in, they break shops, they do this thing. So you have to be careful in dealing with issues of this nature. Don't forget, this issue has been living with us for years. It's not a Buhari problem, and it's not but if Buhari is saying that for the first time, let's take it easy. Yes, emotions are quite high, seeing the caskets, but don't forget, in the same way, Pauline Talent, the former deputy governor of Plateau State, led a similar protest where in Dogo Nahawa, Dogo Nahawa and some, surrounding villages in Plateau State, when they killed over 500 people. So it's been off and on. Right. We need to now tackle holistically. All
right. So in this case, the idea is Nigerians should be patient with the president and see how the cattle colonies is going to work out.
Now, whether you call it colonies or ranches, and I don't see anything. What do you mean by colonies? They're not saying, this place, is only a separated place within a state. And it's okay, this area is designated for ranching. That's what colonies mean. Now, you cannot begin to look at it from different angles, but the definition, like I said, is operational. In countries like Pakistan, in countries like India, is operational. And like I said, ranches are functioning very well in other countries like US,
Wow.
Costa Rica, and
Unfortunately,
Australia.
we've actually run out of time. It's unbelievable. Of course, we'll be discussing this even more on TVC Breakfast until we really do find a lasting solution to it. Thank you very much, Dr. Abula, for your time.
Thank you
and
so
of course,
much. Thank
insights.
you.